Holiday traditions, all of us have them. Today, we're going to dive into a few holiday essentials. The dishes, the drinks, the places, the feel-good stuff we look forward to experiencing every year.
This episode of Arch Eats is sponsored by Gateway Arch Park Foundation.
Hello and welcome again to Arch Eats. I'm George Mahe, your resident schmaltzy holiday sentimentalist.
I love it. I'm Cheryl Baehr. I don't have an intro nearly that good, but I will piggyback off yours.
And after we get all cozy and nostalgic, instead of ending the episode with a micro rant, as we usually do, since it's the holiday season, it's the season of giving, we're going to do a micro rave, an idea we wish we would have thought of. It's basically an app for picking up leftover food in St. Louis at a third of the regular price.
Brilliant.
It is. First, though, it's what we can't stop thinking about. And today, since it's holiday season, I brought a treat. I brought some Clementine's ice cream, 2 different flavors. And this, to me, nothing says the holidays like peppermint ice cream.
Yes.
And I think that Clementine's peppermint is as good as anybody's. Ever since the days of the original flavor, which was called Peppermint Andy, if you remember. It was done in conjunction with Andy Cohen.
Yes.
It's gone through a couple iterations. I think last year's was called Candy Cane Lane.
Yes.
And this year, I think it's just called Peppermint Candy. Anyway, we've got some peppermint ice cream, but just as important and just as cool, this is a flavor that I haven't had. It's called Smoky Italian Fig.
Oh, that sounds magnificent,
And
George. I can't wait.
This is the flavor that was dubbed Flavor of the Year in 2023 by the North American Ice Cream Association.
Wow.
The big guys. Out of like 300 or 400, this was number one. And this is got spiced cookies in it.
Okay.
Speculoos cookies, which are the Danish cookies that are so popular. They kind of taste like a cross between gingerbread and graham crackers. And that's the basis. There's a smoked maple syrup in there and a ribbon of fig jam. And let's just
dive in.
I'll keep talking. You can sample.
I love this. Oh, George. I love it when I feel bad I didn't get you anything.
Still early in the season.
I know. I was going to say, yours will have to come a little
right.
closer to that actual holiday here. But this is just gorgeous. I love how you can see all of the red and white just bursting through there. You just know it's going to be good as soon as you crack it open. Oh, George.
Clementine's ice cream is kind of a splurgy thing. It's not inexpensive, but boy, it sure is good.
Ooh.
And I'm going to have a little taste
You
of this.
unintentionally chilled the spoon, which
Yeah,
I feel like is a pro move. Like maybe we need to do that, in the future here. Okay, I'm going in. My first time having this, by the way.
Wow. Now this smoky Italian fig. There was an ice cream reviewer, this person that reviews ice cream all the time. And the bottom line comment was, if I could eat only one ice cream for the rest of my life, this would be the one. I just had my first bite. I get it. It tastes like those cookies. There's a ribbon of fig jam in there, which I will.
I'm looking forward to that.
You ever tried to fish through when there's a ribbon? It's like you dig through the pint
for it.
Yeah,
I know.
Well, that's what I was doing.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Anyway, these are available at Clementine's for the holiday season. This Smoky Italian Fig is a limited edition, which is kind of why I brought it today.
Okay, I'm going in for that one, but am I allowed to double dip? Are we okay? Are we okay
sure.
with double dipping? That's fine. I mean, George, you and
We're friends here.
We're dear friends at this point, so I think it's safe.
So also, I just found out there are 2 flavors for Hanukkah, which will have been introduced by the time this airs. And one of them is a black and white ice cream, which has chocolate ice cream, vanilla ice cream, and black and white cookies crumbled into it. That's a new flavor. That's one I've never tried. Check that out at Clementine's, too. Those are my picks for holiday ice cream. What do you think of that smoky Italian fig?
That smoky Italian fig is unbelievable. It almost gives me the same thing that you would get out of a salted caramel ice cream. Kind of has that same feel as far as the base is concerned, but it's so complex. And the smoke is not overwhelming, but it's definitely there. And it just adds this depth.
That's as luxurious a
Oh my
flavor and
gosh.
creamy a flavor as I've ever tasted.
That's outrageous. And I do have to also give a shout out while you were tasting the fig, I was tasting the peppermint, and I've never had Clementine's peppermint ice cream. I don't really have peppermint ice cream because I've been so turned off by
Keep talking. I'm going to eat the rest of this
yeah,
pie.
no, that sounds like a plan. I've been so turned off by mint chocolate chip, that really just fakey, neon green stuff. I just feel like it tastes so artificial that I pretty much don't really do mint at all. But this is stunning, absolutely stunning. It's so refreshing. It's creamy and refreshing at the same time, which is a really fun combination. So highly recommend this. They could not be more different,
No,
these
exactly.
two. But it's just so wonderful. Whereas I would say the smoky fig is pretty indulgent and luxurious. This almost feels like a palate cleanser. The peppermint almost feels like a palate cleanser
Exactly.
after that. So delicious. Yeah, these are great.
Splurge. It's the holidays. And that's kind of where we're heading with the main body of this today. It's just some of our favorites, some of our traditions, some of the things that we just really like. We'll be right back. Winterfest, presented by Bank of America and Worldwide Technology, has returned to downtown St. Louis. Experience your favorite Winterfest traditions like ice skating, s'mores, and igloos. Grab a bite to eat from renowned chef Jawan Rice at the Winterfest Cafe. And warm up with a delicious beverage courtesy of Pour Decisions. Plus, check out downtown's newest holiday pop-up bar, The Lodge at Winterfest. Enjoy Winter Wonder in the heart of St. Louis now through December 31st. Visit archpark.org/winterfest for more information.
And now, back to the show.
So we almost randomly pulled together 5 or 6 apiece. And folks, get out your list to make notes from our list because here we go with it. And
Make your list, check it twice, George.
You're going to start off with cookies?
I am. So I like to think of these as almost like a checklist or a to-do list for the wintertime season in general. And number 1 on my list are the holiday cookies at Missouri Baking Company on the Hill. This esteemed, iconic bakery on the Hill. I love Italian cookies anyway. I love the little subtle notes of amaretto you get in there, the star anise. I love that as well. Missouri Baking Company has this outrageous operation when it comes to Christmas cookies. Apparently, if you can get an invite to this, it's one of the hottest tickets in town. They get together and have these day-long things where they package the cookies up together. It's this magnificent, fun event. But you've got to go into this quintessential little bakery on the Hill. Get a bundle.
It's in a
of their
really
Christmas
old
cookies.
building.
Yes.
But it's the cleanest bakery you'll
Yes,
ever.
it
Everybody
is.
says you can eat off the floor. It's that clean and it's very, very well run.
Yes.
It's incredible. And I agree. That is a tradition for a lot of people.
It's such a tradition. They have all of the classics there. The only problem with going in is you're not going to walk out with only Christmas cookies. You will walk out with a cream puff. You walk out with some other Danish. You can't say no to
Start with a
anything
big
there.
box and just fill it up.
Yes, just fill it. Exactly. So Missouri Baking Company Christmas cookies, number 1 on my list.
And I've got, everybody likes Christmas cookies. My favorite Christmas cookie comes from World Market, believe it or not.
Really?
It's these Swedish ginger snaps that come in this big, giant, deep tin. They only have them at Christmas time, and they're super thin.
Okay.
And there's
Crispy?
Yes, very crispy. There's ginger in them. There's cinnamon. There's clove in them.
Ooh.
And they're the kind that you take like a stack of 12 of them. It's not just like 1 or 2. And,
It's like the Pringles of cookies.
exactly. and so I'll have my stack of 12 and I'll dip one in my coffee and maybe split one. They split perfectly in half. It's just a really, really good cookie. And if it was me, I would buy a tin and then buy a tin for somebody else. Gift it to somebody else or 2 other people because they're that good. And because what's cool about it is these things last well into January. They're so crispy and so crunchy. They'll probably last longer than that.
Oh, wow.
So under $20 a tin. And then you've got the tin to do other things with.
To store your buttons and sewing kits in there,
Exactly.
as my grandma and mom and everyone would do.
So my other holiday cookie that I just can't wait. Again, this is limited edition stuff. The Trader Joe's dark chocolate peppermint JoJo's. Our producer's going, oh yeah, I'm hip to that one. That's a favorite in our house for sure. It's one of those Oreo type cookies that's dipped in chocolate and has crushed shards of candy cane on top. And
So wonderful.
you know, and when they're gone, they're gone. The
Yeah.
same thing with these ginger cookies. It's like a microcosm of the holiday season. You know, did I wait too long to go get them? The joy of getting your hands on this scarce
Yes.
cookie before
Yes.
they're all gone. And you always wish that you'd bought another couple packages of them. So just go ahead and splurge. It's that time of the year, and it's getting close to Christmas, and I haven't gotten mine yet.
Oh,
Again,
George, you got to get out.
I
You
know.
should leave right after this and go. You don't want to miss out.
So that's my cookie input. What else you got?
Well, I'm getting away from cookies and I'm going to more of a scene, kind of an environment that I love to be in during this time of year. The Royale has one of the best bar and restaurant patios in general, any time of year. I like it because it has all these different little conversation areas.
Yes.
You know, it's not just one big sprawling open patio with some tables on
No,
it.
there's a section of like
there's
4 or 5
sections.
fire pits right in a row.
Exactly. They're so cozy. And this time of year, now they used to go all out. I talked to the owner. They're not going totally crazy as they used to, but they light it up. They put those light up reindeer. So it still has this really beautiful festive sparkle to it. You sit out there, you get a nice, maybe like an old fashioned or some sort of bourbon or whiskey cocktail. And you sit out by the fire pit. Maybe you're wrapped up in a giant scarf or wrap or coat. And it's dark out. The lights are twinkling. The fire is sparkling out there. I think that's an essential for wintertime, definitely for the holiday season.
Speaking of fire pits, one of my favorites in town is the fire pits at Anheuser-Busch.
Oh, this is essential for this time of year.
And it's so much fun down there. I think it's for 8 to 12 people. You rent these fire pits and they give you s'mores, and you've got access to a hospitality tent that has all kinds of food. They give you obviously lots of beer and soda, and it's just a really good time.
It's magical.
I think you get preferred parking, and these things tend to sell out too. I think at this point in time, if people are listening, I would just call and probably plan on a weeknight appearance, but it's kind of ground zero. It's kind of your home base for checking out the holiday lights. And it's just so much fun because there's two folks that walk around with a giant cart of wood, and all they do is drop wood off it. You need some wood? Yes, that's all they do.
That's brilliant.
And they stay completely busy for 2 hours making this circle with this giant cart of wood. Anyway, it is just so much fun. The holiday lights down there are magnificent anyway. You can walk them. There's a couple nights of the week that you can drive through. But don't miss the fire pits. Get a family together. Get your friends together, 8 to 12 people. It's not to be missed.
Oh, that's so fun. Well, I'm going to stick in the Anheuser-Busch family as well. And I'm going to head out to Grant's Farm, which again is a magnificent holiday display. But the food connection for me is if I'm going down there for the lights this time of year, I have to also go to Sam's Steakhouse, which is just right around the corner from Grant's Farm. This is the old school steakhouse. Think classic. Think foil baked potato, big juicy steaks.
And it's just remodeled that
and they
place
just
too.
remodeled it, exactly, which, I kind of like the old school nostalgia, but they've done a really beautiful job with remodeling it. That place is packed all the time, but this time of year, I don't know if there's a restaurant that goes more out for the holiday season. That place is filled with Christmas trees, lights. It is a spectacle. You almost feel like you're at the Tillis Park Winter Wonderland sitting in the dining room there. It is so beautiful. It's the kind of food you want to eat this year. You want to be there basking in this. You maybe just came from Grant's Farm. You're warming up with a nice glass of wine and a nice juicy steak. It doesn't get better.
And those bonfires at Grant's Farm, they overlook Mirror Lake.
Yes.
So you get all these reflections, it's just spectacular. You
It's
don't
so beautiful.
bonfires on the lake, you've got a whole other deal going with the
Yes.
reflections. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's very special.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I've got another food connection there too. If you go over to Our Lady of the Snows, the Way of Lights,
Oh, we do that every year.
it's a tradition and it should be.
Yes.
It's free and it's
Yes.
fun. And they've got like cheeseburgers and bratwursts and
Yes.
things there. But if you're going over to Belleville, I would stop somewhere else. I would go to Beastcraft. I would go to the
Absolutely.
flagship Beastcraft.
Absolutely.
Get yourself a pork steak to enjoy at Christmas time. There's the Tavern on Main over there,
Mhm.
another good restaurant. And the
Mhm.
one I like the most is a place called Groove Bistro and Wine Bar, GRUV.
Oh, I've never been there.
And they've got very, very good pizzas. There's a blackened short rib and blue
Ooh.
cheese pizza. They've
Oh,
got burnt end tacos. It's just kind of cut above stuff. And again, no slight to the restaurant service at Our Lady of the Snows, but make a night out of it and hang out at one of the Belleville restaurants.
Yeah. Maybe eat after, because our tradition is to ride the camels that they always have there at Our Lady of the Snows. So maybe you don't want to have a full belly when you're getting on the poor
Right.
camel, which you sit on the hump. Did you know that? You actually sit on top of the hump. It's very
I've
bizarre.
never.
Yes.
That's
Highly
a-
recommend.
That's like a
Georgia,
balancing act.
we'll have to do an Arch Eats on location next season. Sounds fun.
What else you got?
So another one, you said Candy Cane Lane as far as an ice cream flavor. When I think of Candy Cane Lane in St. Louis, I think of the St. Louis Hills neighborhood that is transformed into a neighborhood lights display. It's not Tillis Park, it's not the Way of Lights, but it is a beautiful holiday tradition. What you have to do is you go to Ted Drew's, you get your favorite treats, then you pile in the car and you slowly drive through this neighborhood. And I mean, they have music playing, they have a whole hoopla. This is not just, oh, this house over here has some cute lights. Like, this is a coordinated effort.
It's
Like,
a blocks long thing.
it is.
And what I did one time, if the weather's halfway decent, instead of driving through, which you're kind of forced
Yep.
to keep pace with the traffic,
Yes.
the traffic's moving quickly. You got to move quickly.
Yes.
Park and walk through
Oh,
there.
it's so fun.
It's a whole different experience. Highly recommended. Do that at Candy Cane Lane. And something that I just realized, that another St. Louis thing. Did you know there's a website that has all the holiday light routes in St. Louis?
Oh,
They have it for Halloween and they have it for Christmas.
oh,
But some,
that's
you know,
wonderful.
between 3 and 10 houses, and Candy Cane Lane has a lot more.
Of course.
It's $4.95 for the app.
Okay.
It's called holidaylighthopping.com.
That's great.
And they keep it updated every year, Halloween and Christmas. And, you know, everybody going to, you know, if you've got little kids, let's get in the car and let's like plan a route,
fun.
you know, plan a night around checking out all these lights.
It's so much
Anyway,
fun.
I just found out about that. I think that's really cool. But obviously, Candy Cane Lane is the top of that list.
Yes, absolutely. So where else are you heading? Anywhere fun?
Yeah, let's talk about Christmas Eve. I mean, there's always traditions,
Yes.
food traditions that go with Christmas Eve. One of the ones that I would recommend that not a lot of people know about, and again, this is a common thing in southern Italy. It's called the Feast of Seven
Yes.
Fishes. And it was 7 courses, all that have fish in
Mhm.
them. And the folks at Pinot are doing this on Christmas Eve. And you can actually get it to go too. But it's Italian tradition. There was always fasting on Christmas Eve
Mhm.
before Christmas. So they started eating fish.
Yep.
And anyway, I think that's something that's really fun, really different. So I think most St. Louisans have a Christmas Eve tradition. I'm sure you have one.
I do. So I typically stay in for Christmas. I usually do a standing rib roast that I go to a great butcher shop like a Balliard's or a Kenrick, somewhere like that. I get my nice, huge standing rib roast.
There's
However,
nothing better.
there's nothing
Just
better.
don't overcook it or
No.
you've blown 150.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I would cry. If I did that, I would then head out for Chinese food
There
on
you go.
Christmas Eve.
Perfect.
Because I think that while, yes, we have these ideas of the holiday spread, there is something so quintessential this time of year, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, to have Chinese food. And I know a lot of Jewish families in St. Louis honor this tradition. Yen Qing is one of the more popular places. So I would say Chinese food in general, but Yanjing, everyone has a story about going there with their family over the years. It's on Brentwood, right across from the Galleria.
It's been there for
40, 50, I mean,
decades and decades, since I was a kid, and I grew up in that
Yeah,
neighborhood, and that's a long time ago.
exactly. To me, it is that iconic American style Chinese restaurant here in town that was really popular way back when. And I really love the fun, new, modern, more traditional Chinese restaurants that have popped up recently. But somewhere like a Yanqing where I can get my garlic chicken, they have this spicy eggplant that's absolutely out of this world. That's one of my favorites there. A sizzling rice soup. You get those dishes, and that's comfort food to me. Comfort food doesn't have to be a bowl of stew. It can be this lovely fried rice and some hot braised chicken from Yanqing. So that is definitely a tradition for many this time of year, and one that I always think is fun.
So the other thing, the weather's cold, and I just find myself gravitating to places, restaurants with fireplaces,
Yes.
specifically wood-burning
Oh,
fireplaces.
There's nothing
There
better.
aren't a lot of them. And I don't think we've ever written about this, but I've compiled a short list. I'm going to mention a couple of them, but I'm
Okay.
going to put them all in the show notes
Okay.
because I think I want to get this out there because it's time. And I think maybe numero uno on the list is the Cheshire. 5 wood-burning fireplaces throughout that complex. I think 4 or 5 of them are wood burners. Downstairs at Basso, what a beautiful stone fireplace that is. The Fox and Hounds Tavern. It doesn't get any better than hanging out in there, having an Irish coffee or a fragile baby in front of that fire. You walk in and it smells like somebody's rathskeller. It just has that fire smell to it. Even the Starbucks there has a wood burning fireplace. It's
Coziest Starbucks in town.
it's the best. Over at Cyrano's, you could have some flambéed desserts by the fireside. You got a double fire thing going there. Tucker's Place has multiple fireplaces and the most reasonably priced steak in town. We've talked
Yes,
about that
and
before.
good pizza, which was the sleeper
Exactly.
item that I only learned about recently.
Over at Del Pietro's in Richmond Heights, you've got 2 more weeks to enjoy that fireplace from table 53 if you can, because that's right
Oh,
in front of the
nice.
fireplace. Squire's has a wood burner in
Yes.
their dining room. Both Sasha's locations have them. Anyway, the list goes on. And again, I'm not going to go through all of them here, but it feels like wintertime when you smell that wood smoke when you walk in the door.
It does. And the Fox of the Hounds was my, final selection, my absolute must do this time of year. You're right. That bar, it just feels like you need to be drinking, like you said, Irish coffee, or I always love to do a glass of port. I am such a tawny port drinker. It is my favorite thing this time of year to drink. And sitting there by that huge fireplace, I mean, it's big. It takes up almost the entire wall on one side of the room. And it looks like it's been there forever. It has been there forever. So to me,
Glass of
coziest
port,
spot.
that sounds wonderful.
Oh,
And I think they've
cozy.
still got those footed mugs for those
Yeah.
Irish coffees. It's the whole place is so old school.
it's the best.
Now, the other thing you can do in the wintertime, and we've talked about this, and I hope by the time this comes out that some are still available, these chalets over at Adara.
Oh,
Adara transforms its courtyard patio into this twinkly garden with these igloos that they call chalets.
it's a winter wonderland.
It's so special. These things are heated and they're decked out in their winter finery. And there's one that seats 2, and there's 5 of them that seat 4 to 8 people. And the only hitch is the reservations are limited to 2 hours. You're going to want to stay all night, but you
Yeah.
only get 2 hours. 2 sittings a night, available Monday through Saturday, the chalets at Adara. It's a great wintertime tradition. So, okay, I got a couple quick hit indulgences that I just can't get through the season without partaking in a Chick-fil-A peppermint milkshake. It's the best in
There's
town.
a peppermint theme with you.
Yes,
I love it.
They only have them at a certain time, and you'll go, oh man, it's been a whole year since I've had one of these. This is so good. And the other thing, I'm going to end with this one because I know it's going to blow your mind. You know what I like that hardly anybody else does at Christmas time?
Oh,
Fruitcake.
really?
Yes. The old joke that they'd pass the same fruitcake around for
Yes.
decades and
You
decades.
actually like the fruitcake.
I like it. I seek it out. I will pay money for the fruitcake.
Wow.
And they're not cheap. The 2-pounder from Assumption Abbey I think it's in Ava, Missouri. They've got the Trappist monks down there. That's what these guys do 6 days a week is make fruitcakes.
Wow.
They make 40,000 fruitcakes a year. How do they do it? Well, they put a lot of rum in there, which kind of preserves them. And
Maybe take a little nip off that.
Maybe it keeps them going. But it's amazing because these fruitcakes will last 2 years. So they can make them all year long and sell them, probably the bulk of them at the holidays.
Wow.
But they're just a really good fruitcake. So I open it up and keep it in the refrigerator. I keep it in there for months. As a matter of fact, the next time we record a podcast episode, I'm going to bring you a piece of this fruitcake.
Looking forward to that.
So the ones from Assumption Abbey are loaded with rum, and they're just delicious. But there's another one that's really good, too, from Collins Street Bakery, which is down in Texas. They've been doing fruitcake since like 1896. And theirs is a really excellent fruitcake also. But the thing that's different about them is they don't have alcohol in them. So there you've got an alcoholic one and one without.
Nice.
So now you've got 2 options for holiday fruitcake. I mean, we've got this ice cream sitting on the table, but I'm thinking about fruitcake.
Well, George, I know fruitcake is controversial, but I have a tradition that is probably more controversial than fruitcake. And you may lose respect for me when I tell you this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I love to make a cheese dip with that Roca Blue jar cheese that you can get at the grocery store only this time of year. I love it. It is
so
delicious.
It's a blue cheese dip?
It is. So what it is, it's super simple. You take a jar of the Old English cheddar, a jar of the Roca Blue, a package of cream cheese, and a couple dashes of Worcestershire. That is it.
And what's the dipper of choice?
You have to dip it on name brand Pepperidge Farm crackers. Has to be Pepperidge Farm. And I am partial to the butterfly-shaped ones that are just the butter cracker. I like to break them in half.
There you go.
Oh, my goodness.
That's a great visual.
I know. It's basically like, I don't know, a sophisticated Cheese Whiz, but I don't care. I love it. I know it's processed cheese. I know people are probably going to start tuning out, losing all respect for my culinary expertise here. But this is my guilty pleasure. I love it.
You know, that's no worse than the blue cheese souffle at the Crossing.
Sure.
And that's basically blue cheese and mayonnaise baked in a ramekin, and people go crazy about that.
They go gaga over it.
That's all that it is.
Exactly.
It's not very complicated, but what you said sounds delicious.
Yes.
It sounds very comforting. It sounds very, let's have a little of that. Let's break a few butterflies in half by the fire.
There you go. It's kind of like a cheese ball without the coating on it.
Sounds good to me. We'll be right back.
This December, St. Louis comes alive with the magic of music as the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra celebrates the sounds of the season. Create lasting memories with your loved ones at the SLSO's Mercy Holiday Celebration, a beloved audience tradition. Enjoy favorite holiday classics performed by your SLSO and even a visit from Santa Claus himself. December 17th and 18th at Lindenwood University and December 21st and 22nd at Stiefel Theater. Tickets at slso.org. And now, back to the show.
So we promised not to do a micro rant today. You know, we're sitting here in Santa hats, and there's no reason to go all bah humbug on the whole Christmas season, right? Right? Can I get a ho ho ho?
Yeah, exactly. Ho ho ho.
So I want to talk about, this is brand new to St. Louis, and it's a really cool feel-good app, and it's called Too Good to Go. And it connects food producers, restaurants, bakeries, anyone that puts out food with consumers. And basically, it uses up things at the end of the night. If you have random things left over, you put them together and you create what they call a surprise bag. And these restaurants and bakeries sell these surprise bags to people. You don't know what you're buying. You just know the category. It's bakery, or it's produce, or it's candy, or it's muffins, or whatever it might be. And The consumers purchase it at a third of the regular price. And I think it's a fascinating idea, again, designed to make the restaurant a few bucks and to get rid of just the few random things that they have left over. We talked about La Quila, your place out in Chesterfield.
Love that place.
I know they're on there. Pizza Head is. Whole Foods has their prepared foods on there. I think there's 200 restaurants on there now or so, I read. And this just started in the middle of November. They launched in Europe in 2016, and now they're in here, and I think they're in 33 U.S. cities. But what a great idea. It's something we should have thought of.
I know. Why didn't we think of this, George?
Anyway, it's called Too Good To Go. And again, it's this grab bag kind of thing because you don't know what you're getting.
It's always fun. The element of surprise.
Anyway, folks, that's all from here. Happy holidays. The two of us in Santa hats. Thank you for listening to Arch Eats. Be sure to follow us and share with your friends because we put new episodes out every other week. We'll have links in the show notes for everything you heard about today. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and follow along on Instagram at St. Louis Mag. And feel free to give us a follow personally at George Mahe and Cheryl A. Baehr.
If you loved what you heard, show us some love by rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts. And if you're hungry for even more content, you can subscribe to our dining newsletters for the freshest coverage on the local restaurant and culinary scene.
That's it for this week. Best dishes, and see you next time.